Now, if 2025 hasn't had you in what the hell is going on with social media mode, then I don't know anymore. But that's exactly why I created today's video. Because if you're still relying on just posting and hoping the algorithm favors you in 2026, then you are gonna fall behind. So this video is gonna prepare you as a social media manager, creator, to make sure that you can make the most out of your social media marketing in this new year. We're here to plan ahead and not fall behind. And so today I'm diving really deep into each strategy so that I set you up for success. Hey, my name is Mel and I own an almost $1 million agency today. And I now help social media managers like yourself do the same. Now, if you're new here, make sure to grab my free guide to becoming a high-paid social media manager. And let's dive right in so that we waste no more time on these old strategies that aren't working. Now, the first social strategy that will dominate 2026 is personal branding on social media. Now, I've talked about personal branding quite a bit, but mainly I've talked about it from a social media perspective, that you need to have your own personal brand to bring in clients, to showcase as social proof and all of that stuff. But right now, I'm not even talking about your social brand, but I'm talking about personal brands in general. In a world full of AI, personal brands are going to completely take over, and you as a social media manager need to learn how to be able to manage personal brands. Now, when I first started out as a social media manager, I absolutely hated managing personal brands, and it was truly because I didn't understand how to do it, because it's very different from managing a business brand or a company brand. And so personal branding will become so much more valuable because CEOs, business owners, will grow so much faster when they build their own authority, right, along with their business brand. This is why my agency actually repositioned towards the end of this year. And this was something we were already doing for our clients, but we never made it clear in our marketing, where we really bridged the gap between having a personal brand and having a business brand. Because to be honest, in 2026, any business owner and any of your clients will need both. The reason being is because a business brand can only do so much, right? Real trust is built through humans, from human to human. And so having a personal brand can amplify the business brand, help it grow faster, whereas the business brand will really help scale the personal brand. Because here's the thing, if you as a business owner or any of your clients as founders want to pivot in their business, they want to start doing other things, they want to launch other offers, this is really hard to do with a business brand. It's not very flexible. Now, if you have a strong personal brand, you are very flexible to pivot and launch different offers and change your mind around what you do as a business owner, because your personal brand is not necessarily tied or defined by your business. And unless you are building a personal brand on the side, your business really defines you. And so it was about 1 or 2 years ago that I started separating myself from the agency. And because I'm expanding and growing so much, and I have multiple brands to date, right? So the agency, Simply Multimedia, is a huge part, but I have separated that from my personal brand because I don't constantly want to be talking about the agency. Now, I then launched Elite exactly a year ago, my mentorship and membership for social media managers like yourself. And so again, I don't always want to be talking to social media managers on my personal brand, because I also run an almost 7-figure agency. And so in order to do all of those things and not get mixed up or confused among your audience, I started to separate it out, all of these brands for myself, but my personal brand still functions as the core and the umbrella of all the brands I build. And who knows what other brands I want to launch in the future. And so if you know and have the skill set to manage personal brands on top of business brands, you are gonna win in 2026, because you can charge so much more money by managing both accounts and having that type of skill set. Now, I am gonna do a completely separate video on social media strategy for personal brands, because it is a little bit different than managing a business brand. So stay tuned for that, but keep it in mind. And a great way to get started with this is managing your own personal brand, of course. Now, if you want to learn more hands-on strategies and all the frameworks I use in my almost $1 million agency, then decide to join the Elite Social Society. I cover all of these things and so much more, including live coaching with me and our mentees inside of the group every 2 weeks. Now, the second social strategy for 2026, and I'm predicting, is that we will be managing brand ecosystems rather than social media channels. Now, the social media manager role is ever evolving. And so as one of the social strategies is actually going beyond social media. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but a brand ecosystem means that there needs to be more than just social media on its own, right? There needs to be a way for people to purchase from you, learn more about your offer, get into your funnel, go beyond social media. And so you can no longer rely on just having a social media channel and nothing else or nowhere else to go, right? The least your clients need to have as a strategy for your social media is having an opportunity to book a discovery call. This can be as simple as having a Calendly link or having some type of setup that they have that you could manage for them. Let's say you have an engagement strategy or you're doing outreach through the DM as a lead generation strategy. You can share this link with potential clients and customers who can then book on their calendar and they can convert them from there. And so if you're just functioning off social media alone and they don't have any landing pages or other things there for people to learn more from, it's gonna be really, really tough in 2026. 2006 is all about expanding and not reinventing, but building something that's larger than just social media. So we're really looking at accounts and clients as brand ecosystems. And what does that look like? But again, I will get into the next strategy that you can apply to start building these for your clients. So that leads me into the next strategy, social strategy for 2026. And that is layered strategies will win because organic is only getting more challenging. Now, if you're someone like myself that spends a ton of time on Instagram, then you know how challenging Instagram is. And it's only getting more and more challenging. Now, the reason being is because what has evolved organically is that follower count doesn't matter as much as it used to in the past. In the past, you would have built an audience and the majority of your audience would actually see your content. Now, that's no longer the case with social media today. Now, TikTok has had this for a long time, where you mainly see content on the For You page or suggested content, right? And so even if you have a large audience on TikTok, this doesn't guarantees views. That is a downside. But for someone who doesn't necessarily have an audience yet or has a small audience, this is actually a good thing, because this means that there's a more even fair playing field for people and we all have a chance to get seen, right? Now, of course, for those of us who have built audiences, it can be very tough knowing that only a small majority of your followers are actually going to see your content. So for myself, I know that about 30% of my followers actually sees my content, which is pretty crazy out of 60,000 followers I've accumulated on my own personal brand. But this means that 70% of non-followers are also seeing my content, which I don't mind, because my goal here is to stay visible and get a lot of people to see my content and that it continues to expand. Now, so going back to that, having layered strategies, and what I mean by that is that clients can no longer put all of their eggs in one basket or one channel, if you will. So this means that instead of going all in on Instagram, I would recommend that you would offer an add-on or a repurposing service where you can repurpose their content to all channels or all different types of channels. Because here's the thing that we're seeing with clients is that content that doesn't necessarily perform that great on Instagram sometimes gets thousands of views on TikTok, and we don't have to create new content for that. We're simply repurposing that to other platforms that have a better organic reach or that respond better to the content that they've been posting. And so you need to layer in other things outside of just one channel. Now, other things that we're layering in as an agency is, for example, email marketing. It is really saturated to convert people off of social media. This doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's getting harder and harder with the amounts of content people are posting. So instead, you want to capture their email address through a lead magnet or some sort, and make sure you're regularly emailing your email marketing list. So that's something we folded in for clients so that we're protecting them from not just being reliable on the algorithm or one social channel, but instead they're covering their bases and more ground. So layered strategies are key for social media in 2026 because, again, organic is only getting more and more challenging. Now, with that being said, even though it is more challenging and you will add in more layered strategies, community will always be the core and center of everything we do. Now, what I mean by that is that sometimes you might get 1,000 views instead of 10,000 views, let's say. 1,000 views is still 1,000 people looking at your content. I can ask you this question. Would you rather have 1,000 people who are genuinely interested in your services and content watch your content, or 10,000 people that, you know, a good majority of them don't necessarily care about your business or offer? Now, I know for a fact that 99% of you are going to say, I'd rather have 1,000 people who care. So that is the thing about social media and community, is when you build community, you form connections with people that actually care about what you do and what you have to offer. So this also means that you want to create content for your people and your community rather than just for the masses and masses of views. Because let's say even if you go viral, you're reaching 99% of people who are, first of all, non-followers, and who are more than likely not even interested in your offer. And so keeping in mind that you're connecting with people outside of just content, but engaging with people, forming community, having authentic connection, which is so much more than just posting. So make sure that your services and your strategies always involve an engagement strategy so that you're connecting and building that community either for clients, for yourself, because you will see a return from that. We have clients who have smaller audiences and we have clients who have huge audiences. Now, both of these accounts will drive leads. And this is because we have a community manager in the accounts every single day to ensure that they're forming community, to ensure content gets seen, and that they are building connections and their network to attract more leads. Now, that might have you thinking, oh my God, it's only getting more and more work when it comes to social media. And you're not wrong. It is a ton of work. And this is the reason that leads me into the last strategy that I predict for 2026, and that AI will serve as your co-pilot. We've seen it all of 2025, and it's only going to get more and more. So the longer you refuse to work hand in hand with AI, the worse it's going to get for you in the new year. Our output has to increase with the way the world is evolving. So what that looks like for me is I am constantly ping-ponging with ChatGPT, if you will, when it comes to brainstorming, when it comes to ideas, when it comes to rewriting my caption better or writing a caption based on my brain dump. Now, here's the thing. You can't let AI take over everything. You are still the main pilot and the main captain, but AI is your co-pilot to make sure you can create things faster, have a higher output, and deliver faster to clients. Now, that is all part of the strategy because you need to also stick to the demand that these social platforms are asking of us. AI is a great way to speed that up, create more content, and not make it harder on our job at the end of the day. Now, if you want to learn more on how I execute all of these strategies for clients, the systems and processes behind it, and even to the extent of how I've built a team for my social media agency, so I'm not doing all the work by myself today, then I highly recommend you check out the Elite Social Society, where I will provide bi-weekly live coaching with me. You will get access to all of the trainings in the library, and I continue to add new trainings every single month to make sure you have the latest insights, trainings, and updates, and you can go kill it and get actual results for your clients. Now, I hope you found this video helpful and this will set you up for the new year. Make sure you like it, subscribe, and comment below and let me know what strategy you are 100% going to implement for your clients in 2026. And I will see you in next week's video.